I'm ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. I'm your host, Michael, with our special guest host, Michelle.
Hey, everyone.
So, we had a last-minute cancellation with our guest, Jody, who had, unfortunately, something come up, and we had a guest that was coming on, Michelle Cole Hernandez, out of, I believe, Louisiana area. So we might be having a little bit of conflict with her schedule, being a mom of three. So when she comes in, hopefully soon, we'll pop her on screen and start the show with her. In the meantime, I hope you all don't mind getting to know Michelle and I.
It's just us.
So what's going on with you, Michelle?
Man, I'm just trying to figure out all this podcast stuff. It's a lot. Like, you wouldn't think it would be so intricate, but there's a lot of little bitty pieces to that puzzle. So, other than that, just working on my podcast that's hopefully going to grow into to a fun time. Frets and frights is what I've called it. Interviewing musicians about their paranormal experiences at venues. So pretty excited about that. I'm getting a pretty good response. I think I've had it out, maybe a week, and I've already got 6 different musicians. So pretty excited. Ghost Dance Band is going to be my very first. The leader of that is my first interview. So I'm excited about having my friends come on and talk about it. They're just cool dudes. Like the whole band, they still headbang. It's amazing. It's just so cool. It's a great show. If you haven't seen them, you have to look them up. It's called the Ghost Dance Band. They're out of Waco. So just a really good thing.
Culture conspiracy, I agree. There is so much that goes into a podcast that some don't realize.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. It takes a very organized person. I have 3 calendars for shows.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Whew. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll have a lot of posties. Maybe this whole wall will just be postie notes till I get my office built. Maybe that needs to be next instead of building the kitchen addition onto the tiny house. Maybe I need to go ahead and build my office.
Well, or maybe build yourself a little studio.
Yeah, well, I came across this guy that was talking about how he would take curtains and then he would get that foam, with the little points on it, and he would actually make himself hooks. And in his office, when he was going to record, he would just unroll that curtain, like hang it and unroll it, and it would help with the sound. And then when he wasn't recording, he would just roll it up, and then it became an office again. I was like, well, that might work.
That's cool. So, Rick Hughes and the Odin Show, thank you so much for your compliments about the intro. My cousin actually developed that for me, so I will pass that on to him that you love his work. So, yeah, have you thought about an intro for your show?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe just showing old venues at the beginning, and then maybe it depends on if I can find someone. Maybe showing like a band playing, and then something coming up behind them, just like smoke or I don't know, something cool. I'm hoping to have a musician draw the guitar with the spirit coming up around it for the actual logo, but I
That's
don't.
cool.
I just want to, hang out and relax and just let everything flow and, talk about it because it's so much fun. I mean, we talk about it around the fire when we go to festivals and are in the green room after shows. So I don't know why it would be any different for that. It's just a matter of getting enough. I would like to have 12 before I put anything up. That way
I
I'll
think,
have.
yeah, I think all the podcasters in the chat room would probably agree with me in telling you don't focus on an intro first.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have an intro for my show till season 2, technically.
Oh, well, that's good.
So,
That's one thing off my plate. If it comes naturally, like if somebody's helping me, because I'm like you. I know people everywhere. So I never know when someone's like, hey, let me throw this together for you real quick, and that I have one. But I'm not going to actively seek. My main focus right now is to find out who's got the stories and kind of get a good, healthy list of people that can come in and talk. And then festivals come in. So when we're
right.
at our little festival at the Guadalupe in October, then they'll pop in and I'll get quite a few from there, I'm sure. Because we've had it.
Hello, Feathers from Angels and everyone in the chat group.
Oh, that's a nice name. Feathers from Angels. How sweet is that?
Yeah. Culture of Conspiracy, that's a cool name too. The Odin Show. There's a lot of
The
cool
Odin
names out there.
got some Vikings in the room. The Odin Show. I might have to check that one out. All these, let's see. I'm gonna make me a little handy dandy list.
Hang out with all the cool cats. But yeah, so when I did my show last year to start with, we basically just started having guests and just kind of got a feel for where the show was going to go, where we wanted it to go. And then when it came time to rebrand and fine tune it for
Right.
this year, that's when we got the intro, outro, and put together everything.
Right.
So it'll come. And I mean, we're on our second intro or
Right.
second or third, depending on how you look at it. So they'll change. So, but one thing I will suggest for you is when you go on YouTube,
Yeah.
do the premium service because they will whitelist you, which means you don't get all of that copyright infringement for
Oh.
music that automatically, if you use certain music, it'll automatically clear it. So you don't have to worry about having to go in and say, no, I have the license, and have to type in the license on everything.
Okay, so if you do the premium, you don't have to do that. You can just use the songs.
Right. It'll whitelist everything.
Which I've had a couple of friends volunteer their work for my intro. So like their personal songs that they've
Yeah.
written. So that's an option too. Is to use something that is a friend of mine's.
Right. As long as they're not going to copyright infringe you, and
Nope. I've got
then you're good to go.
I've got it volunteering. I have screenshots. So nobody gets to change their mind. That's why I really hope that it goes well, because I loved, doing the photography with the musicians and things like that. I miss that world. But, there's everybody's a photographer now. It's everywhere you go. And it's just like, it just takes some of the passion out when you've got, you go into a restaurant and they want you to bid the photography for their menu or whatever. You go in there and then their wives like, oh no, so and so can do that with their iPhone. And I'm like, you know what? Do it with your iPhone. Go for it. I'll probably might do it with the iPhone too, but I'll know what I'm doing with it. But it is what it is. I like doing this. I like paranormal people. So if I can put music with people of like minds, it's just sad how many years I hid. I mean, I hid for so long, not letting anyone know, not telling anyone anything, and being haunted by all these feelings I was having because I couldn't go and tell people, hey, I hate to bother you, but, this is what I do, and there's someone with you, and they would like you to know this or that, or I just want you to know that they're here for you. They're not gone, they're with you, and just all of that. To think that I'm 46 years old, and I didn't start doing this.
Only 46?
Only 46. I still have a whole half a life left because I'm going to be old. I'm talking like old. Wrinkles, tattoos that have morphed into, I figured the eye on my arm will eventually just become a U. Like, I'll say it's a horseshoe or something. So,
yeah. Brothers from Angels is saying drive-by readings.
What is it?
Drive-by readings?
What's a drive-by reading?
I think she was talking about what you were talking about, saying, hey, it'd be like a drive-by reading.
Yeah. That happens all the time. I can't Instacart my food all the time because I hate going to the grocery store. Because everybody in the grocery store has an emotion. If you want to go to a place, there's two places that have the most emotions. And I'm not talking about I'm not, no funerals, anything like that. To get the most emotions, you go to the grocery store or the courthouse. Because at the courthouse, somebody's filing something. At the grocery store, everybody's got 50,000 things to do. So they're coming off with all these emotions, and then they've got their spirits with them, and it's like, oh, I hate going to the grocery store. I hate it.
I think actually she's suggesting something for you, because she now said, Feathers from Angels says, a reading where you approach people out of nowhere.
Yes, I do that all the time.
And Andrew Holt says the hospitals too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the hospitals are a lot. I think I've managed to. The thing that bothers me the most in hospitals are smells.
Or the lack of.
Aren't as bad, but there's a lot of, just the different smells. But I worked in a hospital. I candy striped since the time I was 10 till I was 15. So I think I just kind of got used to the hospital thing. But I tried. Since Dad died, I tried to stay away from hospitals altogether. I don't want any part of them.
Yeah, I avoid hospitals because they smell so sterile. It's like, it feels so dead. Hey, Steven's in the house. Hey, Steven.
So earlier we were talking about children, and how I have this theory about children who I believe have or are going to have different abilities. So I believe that a child will draw in black, because either a person will draw with a pencil and make something for them to color, or they'll see a coloring book. But as a child, I actually would outline things in different colors. And I've seen throughout teaching at church and teaching at art class, at the kids' school, and things like that, I notice a lot of children, they won't pick up the black automatically, even if it's accessible. They will actually pick up a crayon. And it seems that those children seem to be a lot more sensitive as far as sights and sounds and smells, and just sensitive altogether. Not in a negative way, but just different from the other children. And when I look back at mine and I know what I can do now, I kind of wonder if there's anything about that. Like, are they seeing auras when they're doing that, or are they just extra, creative children? But I wish there was a study or something. I wonder if anybody else has actually noticed children doing that, or how do we know when? I mean, I know like my 2-year-old, when she's 22 now, but when she was 2, she would see spirits and she would tell us names and all of those things, and she would color without she would draw with other colors, and now she still has abilities. Whereas my middle daughter, who doesn't have any abilities that we know of or that she acknowledges, she always used a black crayon or a pencil or a pen. She would never draw something with another color. So I wonder if anybody else has had any experiences like that. What about you when you were a kid? Did you notice that you had different abilities, or things were different for you? You had dreams that were more vivid, or?
Well, so growing up for me was definitely different. Like, I had not really dreams per se, but like I would astral travel as a kid.
Did you just think it was a dream?
No, I knew it wasn't. I knew it was out of body. It's like I just figured everybody could do it.
So it
I
was
just
just
did
so
it.
normal.
I just would go to sleep and I'd go up somewhere, like sometimes Ra's ship floating over, or um, sometimes it would be like a platform hovering over space, like of the Earth, to like jump to Mars or other places. And so, yeah, I just naturally jumped out of body and thought nothing of it. Figured it was something everybody did.
Okay, so you left it open. You said Mars. So
Yeah.
do you think there was a possibility that you were maybe being acquired for a little bit of time and then placed back?
Oh, yeah. I knew I was doing stuff like peace treaties and stuff out in the cosmos.
What? As a child?
Oh, yeah. And
Wow.
I continued it as a teenager, but I mean, it was more active as a teenager, but I remember doing it as a kid. And Stephen, to catch you up, the original guest Jody couldn't make it, and so Michelle Cole Hernandez is our guest, and we're hoping she comes in. I believe she's in the Louisiana area, and so she's a mother of 3, so probably having to deal with her kids right now, getting them set for nighttime, and then she'll hopefully come in. If not, you had the pleasure of Michelle Gray and I.
So I didn't do any of the astroplaning and all that stuff, but I did. My mother said I was pretty much born with night terrors. So I would just unconsolable scream. And I remember playing with people and there were no people. And I remember we used to go out and pick pecans up and stuff, like around the old cemeteries. And, you go pick the wild blackberries, you pick the nuts, or, my grandmother would be out looking for bulbs and, different things like that. So I remember walking headstone to headstone, and I remember I always wanted to pick up a tree lizard for the boys and flowers for the girls. And I would go and sit like beside them. And I remember, like, there's flashes of me. I remember when they would have the little lamb on top of the child's headstone. Like, I remember putting my arm around the headstone and like petting the lamb, like while I'm talking to this child that's, dead, obviously, at the time. I think back and I wonder, was the child talking back to me? Because mom said I would have full conversations with people because I'd get in trouble for not being asleep. And she said she'd walk in there and I'd be playing with somebody or talking to somebody. And I wonder if when I was sitting in the grave, like the graveyard, was I actually talking to these children? Because now as an adult, when I go to cemeteries, they're the most peaceful place on earth for me. If the world gets too much, I just have to find a cemetery, and I'll be led to a place in a cemetery, and I just have to sit, and everything wrong in the world melts away, and it's total silence, and it's only my thoughts, it's only my feelings. It's the only place that I can absolutely just have my own emotions and thoughts without any spirits talking to me or anything like that. I've only had one instance in a cemetery. It was my ex-husband's family's, and I got bum rushed by a spirit, and it scared my dog so bad the chihuahua tried to jump through the truck window with the truck door shut. It was trying to like get up in it to get away from whatever it was. But I find them very solitary during the daytime. I don't go at night. I'm not pushing my luck. Never.
And the interesting thing for me is that I always, when I was a kid, when I'd see cemeteries, I could always feel that they were just empty ground.
Yeah, I feel the same.
There was nobody there, and so yeah. So Steven says, "Too bad the last paranormal thing I do will be New Orleans Fear Fest, but hope to see some great friends there.
Why
I
is that?
look forward to seeing you there."
Is that the scary thing you're going to go to in like October, November, or something like that?
No. So New Orleans Fear Fest is being put on by the Jessica Petrie Foundation and the Paranormal United Network.
Okay.
And it's September 29th, 30th, and
Oh, you
October
told me
1st.
about that. I was going to go with you to that, but I have that grandbaby coming.
Right. And so Stephen and I will be speakers there.
Oh, I have to look up Stephen.
And it is going to be an event where we have 3 days of paranormal or, speakers, so to speak. They may be paranormal or they may be of other backgrounds. There's some actors that are going to be there. Musicians are going to be performing while we're doing our stuff, and there will be chances to investigate New Orleans. So it'll be 3 days of truly great fun and highly recommended for anyone who wants to attend. It's open to the public. You just have to go and on Eventbrite, which I will put in the comment sections after the show and in the description, or not the description, but yeah, in the comment section, I'll put down the Eventbrite link for any of those who wish to go. And Steven says it will be my official retirement event. Well,
Why is he
Steven,
retiring?
he has been in it for over 30 years, and he is actually the founder of, he's the founder of FearFest Paracons. He's he's the owner and founder of the Paranormal United Network, which we are on.
Well, how cool is that?
And Stephen was actually the one who approached me twice to do a podcast show. So I am grateful.
Good job, Stephen.
that he approached me again and helped me come to terms with what it will take to get started and just let us blossom from there.
Oh, so you were where I was. Is that what you're saying?
I was
Well,
last
that's
July.
now he's going to retire and he can't help me.
Well, the interesting thing is it's actually the end of July this year was a 1 year anniversary of podcasting on the Paranormal United Network for us.
Yay,
So
good job.
I have actually done a year's worth of podcasting now.
That's great.
Thank you, Shelly and Stephen, and the Paranormal United Network, which is now run by Howard Petrie and Chrissy Morales, who I believe soon is going to change her last name, or maybe she won't. Maybe she'll keep it Morales. But I am going to be on Thursday launching a little sub series that I've been working on. So I'm hoping y'all will come and check that out. I will be hosting it, and I am calling the sub series Writing Through the Unknown. It'll be a lot of topics that you normally wouldn't find on a paranormal show, but they're topics that I'm interested in, and so I'm excited to share some more of what I've been interested in researching for probably 5 to 10 years, just on the side, listening to shows, meeting people, and bringing it into fruition of a type of mini paranormal show that we'll just see if what comes of it. But I'm excited that it'll be starting this Thursday, at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And the topic will be Antarctica, what's going on in Antarctica. And so I got a really great special guest that I'll be bringing on. His name is Brad Olson. And we'll be talking up for it. And Stephen, I am praying that your health gets better. I know we talk offline about it, so I'm still praying for you and sending you healing energies. And thank you so much. Man, you're going to make me cry, Stephen. He says, look at you go, boy. He goes, look at you, boy. I give you the keys and you take off. Lots of laughs. I'm proud of you. All right. Well, everyone.
Hi, Anthony. We're friends on Facebook. I've never spoke to him, but he friended me a while back. So
I haven't either, but as soon as she gets settled, I am proud to announce that our guest of the evening is coming on. She is backstage waiting. Let's see. Let's wait until she figures out what she's doing. It's always the fun of
mine are going to be pre-recorded.
Yours are going to be pre-recorded?
Yeah. Well, I got to work around musician schedules. You know, I can't do a lot of stuff, and they're all over the state and all over the country too. About 3 of them so far in different states. Yeah. So, you know, I have to.
There she is. I'm with you, Odin Show. Here we go. And here she is.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My apologies for being late.
No worries. We know life happens, and
Very
being
true.
a law student, mom of three, I totally get you had stuff to do.
Yeah, it's rough sometimes.
I gotta ask. I
Hi,
love to ask this of all of my guests who like do multi stuff like I do. How do you fit it all in? How do you make time for everything? Paranormal investigating, going to law school, raising three kids.
It's time management. Is I'm down to only being able to really investigate twice a month, usually on Saturdays. We were just in San Antonio this past weekend.
Ooh, where'd you go?
We were staying at the Emily Morgan, but we actually got to investigate the old Wilson County Jail in Florida
Okay.
still.
How was it? I have yet to get there.
It was pretty neat. From the outside it looks like a little small building, not too much, but it's actually pretty active. I'm waiting to download the replay from TikTok so that I can put it into a video for YouTube.
Wow. You even run the YouTube channel and the TikTok?
Well, this channel, Bayou Paranormal Society, is new. I used to be part of a different channel and we decided to part ways. So me and my other two teammates got together and started this. And so it's fairly new. We have a pretty good following on Facebook and TikTok. So we're trying to build up our YouTube page.
All right. Well, that's cool. So, yeah. So, if you send a link, I'll put it on, I'll tag it to all the episodes and we'll
Okay.
try and help build your YouTube channel.
So, how did you make a presence on TikTok? What do you do on there? Because I find it hard, as far as myself as a medium and stuff, to actually, I don't want to do these dancing clips and all this kind of stuff. So I find TikTok
Right.
incredibly hard to get started on. Like, how do you pick how to do your TikTok?
Funny enough, I actually started it as my personal page where I was just doing voiceovers and comedy stuff, just for fun because everybody had a TikTok.
Right.
And then I decided to turn it into our paranormal page. And I met some amazing people who were actually messaging me, telling me to hurry up and get in y'all's podcast because they were waiting. I was like,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
wow.
I'm sorry. Phone was dead, so. But there's a really good, for the most part, there's a really good paranormal community on TikTok, and we're very close knit.
Okay.
So you find where you fit in, and you kind of build a family.
Right.
Yeah, I can agree with that
Yeah.
because with me, with having personal things coming up, I was surprised to see that even my numbers, my followers were growing, even though I wasn't posting. And they would occasionally message me and be like, hey, everything okay? And it was like, wow, I was kind of impressed because normally you expect if it's been like a month or 2 months of nothing that people are like, well, this is an inactive channel and unfollow, but they don't.
Right.
They stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually started investigating on Facebook Live, and then we switched over to TikTok because we got more views and basically more views, and it was better for us.
Yeah. So I take it Odin Show is one of your fans because he says, not me texting her with the lots of laugh.
Yeah, he's awesome. Y'all should follow him on TikTok as well. He's awesome. So it's me. My team consists of me, Chaz, and Piper. So we're a 3-person team right now officially, but there's some amazing people out there in the paranormal community, and not even like Odin doesn't really do paranormal, but he's a great friend of ours. So
Cool.
a lot of people who don't specialize in paranormal are still open to socializing with people who do.
Right. And so Steven actually has a question for you. He
Okay.
asked, did you hang out with any of the local paranormal peeps in San Antonio?
So I hung out with Jen, Boss Sauce Tarot. She's not actually from San Antonio. She's from Corpus, but she drove up to San Antonio to hang out with us. and I met two other ladies who have their own team. I forgot what their name is. I forgot the name of their team, but they actually run the jail that we investigated. She kind of helped us get in there.
Very cool.
I love Anthony. When I grow up, I'll have a TikTok live.
So you know Father Kenneth Torres. He's been on your show. He actually flew into San Antonio to investigate with us.
Yes, I know. I was so like, when I saw him coming, I was like, man. And he was talking all about it on one of my other podcast shows, and it was like, I thought it was like you're gonna be with Anthony and them, but no, I think it's cool that you got to meet him. So what was it like?
It was awesome. He was good. It was a good experience to have him with his background and his education behind everything. It was really fun. We're going to be going back to Texas in November. We're going to be investigating the Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells. You've been there?
Oh Lord.
I have not done that one, and when I'm in Mineral Wells, I tend to investigate the Fort Walters military base. So that's a
Military
location.
base. That's
It is.
interesting.
Steven's been there, and it's 2 buildings. So you get 2 buildings for one investigation night. It's a bank building and a PX building, and the PX building is huge. So you will always. I mean, I don't think you would get too much cross contamination, but I tend to tell people keep it to 10 people or less. Or if you're going to split it, you can do 15, 20. You can do 10 in one building, 10 in the other. But yeah. So if you're, if you get time and a chance, yeah, you should check that one out.
I'm going to have to look into it. Next big investigation, we're going to be at Auglaize Village in Defiance, Ohio in October. That's going to be our Halloween special.
Ooh.
Very cool.
We're gonna collab with a bunch of other paranormal creators from TikTok. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I'm gonna confess, I'm trying to find the Odin show right now. So
that's not fair. We're supposed to like be equal, be able to find that kind of stuff. And I'm on my phone on here, and my laptop is dead. So I'm just trying to do this. But when you find it, send me the link.
Yeah. Steven says, I started to go live on TikTok at Fort Walters with Michael Koff doing the human pendulum, but got caught up in the investigation. And that was the first time I ever did the human pendulum.
What? I don't
think I've ever seen that done.
So the human pendulum is you get one person who is in like a center of a circle where you got 2 people on your right. You got, one person on your right, one on your left, one in front of you, and one in back. And you pretty much close your eyes and just empty your mind, and somebody will ask a question, and you start to answer. And what I found when I was doing the human pendulum with Steven, and I was talking with him about it, is I would start to feel like, the answer is one thing, but the spirits were wanting another to answer. Like I was saying yes, because that's what I could see. And
Right.
So I'd try to start moving forward to say yes, but my body would start to pull back and say nope. And I was like, I found it was really cool that the spirits would not let me answer for them.
Huh. I wonder why that was. Did they think they were going to answer for themselves, or?
Well, they're supposed to be the ones answering, so it was their way of saying, yeah, if we're going to answer this, we're going to answer it. We're not going to let you answer for us and get it wrong.
Interesting. So, Michelle, how long have you been doing this?
About 4 years.
Are you, do you just investigate, or do you have some kind of abilities? Like, are you medium or clairvoyant or empathic, or do you just have
No,
a,
I
right?
don't claim to have any abilities, although since I've been doing this, I've noticed I'm starting to hear, see, and feel things I haven't before. And I guess that just comes with the territory of, exposing yourself to it all the time.
Interesting.
So, so where's your favorite places, like your go-to places to go and investigate?
My favorite that we would go to often would probably be there's this abandoned jail in Gibbsland, Louisiana, close to where Bonnie and Clyde were killed. And it's extremely active, but it's a little bitty small place. We're going to be going back soon. It's like literally two cells, probably four prisoners at most. It's been abandoned since 1964, so it's pretty old. But
Wow.
it's extremely active and not over hunted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Right.
places, like with me being from Louisiana, I love Myrtle's Plantation, and every
Yeah.
time somebody comes and visits from another state, I try to bring them there. But
Uh,
it's hunted a lot, so it's got that reputation.
yeah.
Right. I can see that. And one of the places I found I got to do what I call the scouting investigation was the Gothic jail in
We
DeRitter.
we went there in June. It was awesome.
Yeah. I was impressed that doing the walking tour, we were getting activity and stuff happening, and it was like, wow, they don't even wait for the investigation. They're just happy people are there.
Sorry, my Kraken is knocking my camera.
That's all right. And so, Michelle, since you go to the jail in Gippsland, do you ever go to the ambush site?
We have actually been to the ambush site several times. When we go back, Gibbsland's about 2.5 hours from me. So whenever we do go, we try to make sure that we hit that up because a lot of viewers know the history behind it. So naturally, they want to see it, especially if they're never going to make it down here to Northwest Louisiana.
Right. Steven says Mineral Wells is awesome and a ton of active locations there. Just be careful and make sure you go to respectful locations because, yeah, it happens sometimes.
I'm not very far from Mineral Wells, and I can pretty much say there's not a lot in Mineral Wells that doesn't have spirits. Within 4 or 5 blocks of downtown, I mean, there's buildings by the post office. I mean, you can just walk and I mean, you can feel things everywhere. Like, Mineral Wells is such a hub. It's absolutely insane. Like, you could just walk around with me, and I bet you would pick up things. Just
Yeah.
walking around town. My ex-husband was a musician and played all around there, and everywhere we went, like some nights I'd have to go sit in the truck because it was just too much, especially
Right.
around the baker. So
So Linda's asking, the human is standing still when doing the pendulum. Yes. And the spirit just pulls them in the direction of yes and no. Yes. So you can go forward for yes if you want, backwards for no, or it can be no is forward. And when it's something they don't know or a maybe, yeah, you pretty much just stand straight and you just hope you can get clarity as soon as they understand it, they'll answer. But I wanted to ask your opinion, if you don't mind, Michelle, about the ambush site. Do you think it went down the way they say it did in history, or do you think like she survived, like some rumors say, and or that wasn't her in the vehicle? What are your thoughts around all that?
According to the history, she didn't survive because okay, so in Gippsland, there's actually a museum. Sorry, I'm trying to get somebody on your podcast, and one of my team members is trying to watch your podcast, so I'm trying to get him on here.
They can join you if they want up on screen.
Here, go. Okay, sorry. So We've gotten EVPs before.
Up, you kind of muted yourself.
So we've gotten EVPs before with a female voice, and we've asked if it was Bonnie, and we've gotten a yes. But I'll have to go find that footage. Was from like 2021. I'll have to find it. I think it was posted to our old YouTube, but now that we're a new channel, I'm gonna have to go through the old videos and repost it. So I don't know. It's like the conspiracy theory of, do you think she really, kind of like Elvis, I guess. Like,
Right.
the ambush site is really active. To be honest, I think a lot of it is residual. Like, not possibly not exactly Bonnie and Clyde, but definitely there's definitely some energy there. I don't know if it's manifested from other investigators just going and investigating there, but it definitely has something going on there. And the way the ambush site is set up right here, that Chaz that you see in the
Yep.
comments is one of my team members.
Okay.
So the ambush site sits off to the road to the right, but according to history, the car, that's where they got shot, but then the car actually drifted further up to the left, which is where they eventually passed away.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious because I know when I was doing some research into Bonnie and Clyde and seeing all the pictures and everything of their life and everything. When it came to the murder or, the ambush, I had to say I was kind of appalled of the condition of the photos that they took of her because it was like where there was like no respect.
None. And in the museum, they actually have mannequins that are like replicated of the ambush, and it shows you like she had, I don't remember how many gunshots, but it was bad. Like they opened complete fire on them, and like I just hope that they died instantly.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I imagine they would have because I mean you see the car and it's like hard to imagine one,
Right.
anyone walking out of that, and two, yeah, I don't see anyone surviving.
no.
Yeah, Gibbsland is a really good, not overly hunted place for investigations, because there's also a cemetery that is actually to this day still segregated. I've never seen a segregated cemetery in my life until we went up there, and it's a segregated cemetery, and that's actually where we caught our first full body apparition.
Really? Now, when you say segregated, are you meaning like by
Like one
churches
side of the fence
or?
is white people, and one
Yeah,
side of the fence
African
is
American,
African Americans. Like,
Caucasian.
Oh, wow.
yeah, literally. Like I was like, "There's no way," but yeah, literally, it was.
Yeah.
We
I
had
only
one
ask because there's a church, or not a church, but a cemetery nearby here in Thurber that's a ghost town where they actually have the Catholics, the Protestants, and it's like they had their own sections, and I'm like, really?
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, that's pretty. I mean, like, there's Jewish cemeteries, and they are only for, Orthodox, and same thing with the Catholic. But I agree that it's really different to find the segregated cemeteries. In Tyler, they have them too, but it's not because they just said it. The people just still do it. It's always been that way, and it just stayed that way. And there's a funeral home that the African American most go to, and they go to one cemetery, and then the Caucasians go to one, and they go to another one. So as far as I know, this doesn't get mixed.
Right.
Still to
Does
this
Yeah.
day,
Steven
but
say he's going to Paragon?
He's going to the New Orleans Fear Fest Paracon that I was talking with you about.
We were Howard invited us to go. I reserved my spot, but that was when we were the other team. And now that we're this team, we're debating on if we should still go or not, because we're trying to build up everything that we had with the other team. So like we had merchandise and everything with that team. And with this one we don't have all that built up yet.
Well, but you could still come and, mingle with the people and, build up an audience of, talking with people
Right.
and, hang out with Steven and I.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, because I know Steven, I don't know what our speaking schedule is yet, but we'll definitely mingle with the crowds too, I'm sure. Steven says, absolutely go. Don't let that hold you back that you don't have all that merchandise.
Okay, Stephen, thank you. Yeah, because we were just talking about it this weekend while we were in San Antonio because that would be our next event.
Yeah, that would be an awesome event. 3 days of, sharing your team with everybody and doing everything. The Odin Show says, yes, still go, Michelle. It'll be great exposure.
And that's the main reason I was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm going is, besides this being my first guest speaking on such a large scale, but I mean, it's a chance to meet other investigators that are out, make connections, and oh yeah, Steven's pointing out that Ghostastic will have a live concert.
Oh, well, that's going to be awesome.
And Shelly says, "Yeah, Michelle, you should go. That would be awesome."
Yeah,
So
well, we planned on, like, that was the plans up until here recently. Like, it was, we had told Howard we were coming and everything, so I guess we got to go.
yeah, I mean, oh, even Anthony Sabelos is going to be hanging out at Fear Fest.
Oh, awesome.
So it'll be lots of fun. And, well, I mean, you live in Louisiana, so it's like, for me, the draw is being able to investigate New Orleans as well, which is like 7 hours from me. So it's like not a
What
place I
part
can
of
just,
Texas are you in again? I forget.
Dallas area.
Okay, Dallas.
And I'm in Granbury, so we're
Okay.
about an hour and a half from each other.
Yeah, I'm about 2.5, 3 hours from New Orleans. I'm in Alexandria, so I'm like directly in the middle of the state.
I swear to God, Alexandria has the biggest mosquitoes of everywhere in Louisiana. It's like,
I'm not gonna argue
like
with you about that.
mosquitoes live in Alexandria. You can hear them coming in for a landing. It's like, and I lived in Houghton, I've lived in Shreveport and all that because I'm from Tyler, so it's just like a blink to Louisiana. But those mosquitoes in Alexandria are ridiculous.
My teammate Chaz is from Tyler. That's his hometown.
I'm like, Anthony is saying it's 13 hours for me. I'm like, where in Texas are you out of? I thought you were out of Central Texas area.
You know what's a drive I don't like? From Alexandria to San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they're ever going to stop, if they're ever going to be done working on I-10, but...
Never.
Oh, dang. Anthony's in Odessa. That's
he's in West Texas.
5 hours from where I live.
Unless you're in the oil field, Anthony, you need to move. We'll give you some zip codes.
I agree. I've only been through Odessa twice when I drove to California, and I can't do West Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live on Tin Top too, Stephen. Yeah, I sold my house. Well, I'll message you later.
So, Michelle, I know you said you've done Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana,
and Arkansas. That's the only places we've been so far.
So if somebody was to ask you of each state where you found the most active, would be like you would suggest someone that's like trying to do like a little road trip of those 4 states, what would be the hot spot you would say definitely don't want to miss in your experience? Yeah, in each state, in your opinion.
In Mississippi, we investigated Stuckey's Bridge and Meridian. It was awesome. Extremely active, really dark energy. And we went, Vicksburg is a must. If you like history and you want paranormal, if you're ever in Mississippi, you got to hit up Vicksburg and Natchez. In Louisiana, surprisingly, yes, you have to visit New Orleans just because you have to visit New Orleans. And even though it's overhunted, you have to visit the Myrtles just to say that you've been there. But since she's lived in Shreveport, she could probably tell you up and around Shreveport, Bossier, and Alexandria, there's a lot of less known haunted places that are really active.
And I don't know what it's called, but there's some kind of old music venue down there, and there's a cemetery. It's kind of over in Shreveport, over there where the like housing people are, and the cops won't even go to this cemetery.
No,
There's a
I know
giant
it's Greenwood Cemetery, yeah, where the yellow
Yep.
fever mound is. Nobody
Yep.
wants to go there.
Nobody, like the cops won't go there. You don't. I mean, it's some pretty criminal element, but even them, they don't even want to go in that dang cemetery. But you
Right.
just drive by it, and your skin feels wrong. Like you don't know what it is, but something just feels wrong. And it's just, I mean, I've always wanted to go in that music venue. I don't care about the cemetery. I want to go in the
Yeah, the municipal auditorium. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
called though, and they don't really let you investigate at night. They let you investigate, so it's like $300 to investigate for 5 hours, but they want you to do it during the day.
That's because
Yeah.
nobody wants to be down there at night.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, can we do it in the evening? Does it have to be daylight? Not that spirits aren't active during the day, but you know, it looks better to go at night.
Right,
It's,
right.
it's more
Right.
quiet, you know.
Plus,
Well,
I'm
it's
pretty
easier
sure
to see some stuff in the dark, like doors moving. Ironically, it's easier at night than during the day because it's like, for some reason, during the day, we just tend to be like, did that move? Oh, well. But at night, you're like, did that move? Wait a minute. How did that move? What? And it's like you're more attention drawn to it. But I'm
So
curious, Michelle.
Texas is a whole nother story. So we've been to Houston, we've been as far south as San Antonio, we've been up to Dallas, we've been to Goatman's, we've been through Waco. We actually went 2 months ago to Waco and actually got access to the site where the Waco massacre happened. We actually got access to the religious compound.
Oh, the Branch Davidians.
Right. I couldn't remember the name, but
Yep.
that place was overwhelming. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that is I heard it's just a field now that they even destroyed the foundation of it. So unless
well,
you know where it's at, you probably drive by it and don't even realize it.
it's not a field. It's actually, so they have it gated off, and they actually do tours. They charge $5 per car, like Saturday through Thursday or whatever. Well, what happened was we had parked, and then one of the guys was coming from the store, I guess, because there's actually people that still live on the compound. And we told him we had came from Louisiana and we wanted to get on. He's like, leave your car parked at the road and walk down to the second trailer and tell them while you're here. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's it, y'all. I got to go live because if something happens, they need to know my last location because they want us to leave our car
It's
parked
like,
by
that
the
doesn't
road.
sound sketchy as anything.
Right. So I'm thinking scary movies, you know, I'm like, we're going to get got. So we walk down to the trailer and this girl comes out, torn up clothes, like very Amish, okay?
Oh my
With a
God.
bunch of kids, and she tells them that we're here, and this old lady comes out of this other trailer. She's like, we're closed today. And I said, yes, ma'am, I know, but your son told me to come down here and talk to you because we're a paranormal team from Louisiana and we're like 7 hours from home. So we were hoping you could show us around. She's like, well, all the stuff you can see is over there. Just go walk yourself. The church is still there. The entire foundation for the property where everything happened is still there and it's marked. There's even a hole in the ground where it's labeled the bunkers where the kids and the women were gassed.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go find my pictures and send them to you. But yeah, this girl, I was interviewing her. I was live on TikTok the whole time. Have you ever had the feeling somebody needed help but you couldn't ask them or they couldn't ask you?
Right.
I was asking her, so I was like, so were you born here? Like, how did you get here? She's like, I moved in here 3 years ago. And I'm thinking in my head, why would you want to do that? And I was like, so do you like it? She's like, well, and she would never make eye contact with me. She was like, well, I can't say that I like it, but I'm not allowed to say that I don't. She's like, you know what I miss? I'm like, what? She's like, gas stations.
Oh, how sad.
But there's the guy we met was in a big Chevy truck, like. So they go back and at least some people go back and forth to town to get stuff that's needed. But apparently she's been on the compound for 3 years and can't leave. And
Probably just the men. I doubt the women
Right.
leave.
Yeah. So, Michelle, since, you seem to be going west with your investigations, You have any plans of going to New Mexico?
Eventually. Actually, that's where Odin lives in Arizona, so I'm hoping to set up something in New Mexico or closer because he plans on coming to Mineral Wells with us in November.
Okay, well, Steven is in New Mexico, and he's got a few spots around him
Oh
that
man,
even I'm wanting to go and check out, and one of them is a Skinwalker Cave.
wow.
I'm gonna have to hit you up, Steven. We're gonna have to. I think Steven and I are friends on Facebook. I'm not sure, but
Oh, there you go. We can all hitch a ride with Anthony. He says he goes and takes fuel all the time to Carlsbad.
There we
right.
go.
Is
I'm
there
game.
room for passengers, Anthony?
Hey, we're not playing that little in the middle thing with me. It's not working.
Oh, come on. You're taking all the fun out of it.
No, I'm gonna act like a kid, get in the back and sleep the whole way. Y'all wake me up for when
Driving through West Texas, you're gonna need to sleep because there ain't nothing to see.
Man, you
Yeah.
got West Texas at night. You don't drive West Texas in the day.
No.
When I had to drive to Los Angeles from Alexandria, y'all. It was 2,000 miles. I drove it straight, and I swear it felt like 1,000 miles of that was just Texas.
Yeah, Texas is
I
busy.
know. I laugh when I talk to like my friends in Ireland and the UK because they're like, well, it takes us like 5 hours to pretty much be anywhere in our country, and I'm like, in 5 hours I could still be in my state, and they're like, what? I'm like, so I say, okay, from where I live, the northern border is like an hour and a half, 2 hours north. Then I'm in another state, Oklahoma. 3 hours east, I'm in Louisiana, pretty much, maybe 3.5.
Yeah, because you're in Dallas.
And it's like 6 hours south, and I go to Mexico, 6, maybe 7. And then it's like 8 to 10 hours west to get to New Mexico. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's a whole day to get out of the state.
It is.
Yeah.
We were just driving back from San Antonio the other day, so I knew it was straight I-10 because the way we go through Houston and through Lake Charles and up. Well, my friend Piper, my teammate that was driving, has a 1997 Garmin GPS on her dash, like the old school program, and it talks to you.
Oh, yeah.
So it tells her to get off of I-10, and we end up going the long way around through Jasper and stuff, and I'm just like,
Jasper.
Oh man, Jasper is like middle of nowhere.
Right.
Red
So
dirt.
instead of being on the interstate, it takes us through nowhere, Texas, and I'm like, okay.
You know what though? I bet there's a lot of hot spots in Jasper because there's a lot of bad stuff happened in Jasper back in the day.
See, we've been to the Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, and we've been to Nacogdoches. We've investigated some places in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, that's where my people
Oh,
are.
did you do the Old Stone Fort?
No, we did this. There was this one specific cemetery. I forgot what it's called, but it was like the oldest cemetery in Texas. Because it was the original, because Nacogdoches is like the first city or whatever.
I'm trying to think where that was. It's not Bethel, is it?
It might be.
That's my grandfather started that church in Appleby.
It might be because I know it said that it was the oldest, and we actually did it for Memorial Day because we were on our way back from Waco when we stopped, and we found some veterans from World War I and stuff, and we started playing like patriotic music, and we actually got the EVP come through that said "I love you" and "thank you," and it was like very emotional.
Aww. That'd been so emotional. I would have been emotional over that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was. We were all like teary-eyed.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was doing an investigation with a couple of ladies from Blue Bonnet Paranormal, Moody, and out of Temple, and Bark at the Moon in Temple, up at Fort Walters. And yeah, we were playing, like, because it was Vietnam and World War II, we were playing like cadence. And we even got an EVP of Pause It in the cadence.
Oh, wow.
And I was the only guy, and it wasn't my voice.
Wow.
and we had cat balls going off to like revelry. So yeah, I mean the military does respond to the military, and I always like to, when I'm at like cemeteries and come across soldiers, even if it's Civil War, I'll be like, "Thank you for your service." And if they, I look at the year and I'm like, if they lasted beyond, I'm like, I'm glad you were able to survive, and thrive after the war. And if
Right.
they didn't, I'm like, I'm sorry you paid the ultimate sacrifice. But yeah, and I was surprised to learn that there was actually, I did a little video before I was doing podcasting on Texas with history and everything. And to find out there was a little rebellion that took place before the Texas Revolution. And it was over by Nacogdoches, where the Texians actually helped Mexico put down the rebellion. And then it was like 5, 6 years later, they're like, okay, now we're going to take our turn and rebel. It was like, what? Well, why did
Chaz just
you?
reminded me of another cool place we visited in Mississippi that I forgot about. We went to the crash site where Leonard Skinner died,
Oh,
where
really?
some of the band members were killed. They have a
Wow.
really nice memorial site where they were killed, and we actually made contact with Ronnie Van Zant. Like it literally, Ronnie came through the EVP, and we caught a shadow passing next to the monument.
Yeah.
We played Freebird and we played Sweet Home Alabama to try to trigger stuff. So I'm pretty sure that helps. But
Oh, yeah. So Linda, I gotta ask you're. I know you've been a member of an audience for all of us, and we appreciate it. And you say even though I've been crossing over souls, you haven't done an investigation yet. What's up with that? I gotta know. Is it just you can't find a team, or what's going on that you're not investigating? So I'm curious, when you go through places like Vicksburg and battle sites, do you ever experience like smelling the gunpowder, seeing the soldiers moving around, all of that, or what's it like for you when you investigate those?
not me personally, but my team member Chaz is sensitive. And I know when we did the Cedar Hill Cemetery in Vicksburg, it's the oldest cemetery in Mississippi. And I think there's like 5,000 unmarked, unlike unknown soldiers. And literally, it's sad. The graves are just white and they're labeled by state. Like one row says Alabama, one row says Georgia, one row says
Right.
Mississippi. And you could hear gunshots and you could smell the gunpowder. And he saw the silhouettes of like soldiers marching
Wow.
Wow,
because
that's
it sits
cool.
right there. It sits right there on the Mississippi River.
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, and it's amazing how everything just like what had to go in to make that happen and everything. And
right.
then I was surprised to learn that I don't know how I missed this being a history major, that Louisiana still has the site of Andrew Jackson with the Battle of New Orleans that they even did a song about. Have you been able to go and check that place out?
Not in years. I went when I was younger, kind of just as a, history thing, nothing paranormal related, but I definitely want to go back. We were in New Orleans, trying to think. The last time we were in New Orleans was in May. We met another creator. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Kalani Ghost Hunter from TikTok or YouTube,
Not offhand.
but he has a pretty big following. He came down to Louisiana and asked to investigate with us. So we actually investigated the Andrew Jackson Hotel in the French Quarter, and we got some really good evidence from that hotel.
So I'm kind of curious. What's your opinion of New Orleans? Is it like haunted because of the floods and everything that's going on there? Or do you think it's all the history there, or do you
It's
think it?
definitely haunted because of the history. Because when you like, you could tell the EVPs and stuff. You can tell what time frame they come from, and it's a lot of antebellum type spirits. Like you could tell, it's definitely pre-World War II, and it's definitely the history.
That's cool. So Michelle, I'm just curious. You got any questions over there?
Me, I'm actually I got a spirit jacking with me right now. That's why I'm trying to just when y'all were talking about the soldiers and things like that, my eyes started burning and I was smelling smoke and my house isn't on fire, so I'm just trying to stay focused. Sorry guys, I'm when they mess
No,
with
you're
me.
good. I'm nervous. This is really the first time I've actually done something like this. Usually when we're live on TikTok and stuff, I'm behind the camera. So
Yeah, I get it. I
Well,
am.
I
Wow.
can tell you honestly, Michelle, you're doing great.
thank you. I feel bad because I was late, but it's okay.
It's all good. Life happens.
We just chit chatted like, old friends, and it was all good. We're glad you're here though.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, I was. I literally was not joking when I said to you on when I was talking to you, you're a lifesaver because you just you're one of those people that like makes podcasting so look easy because friends like you who are like, yeah, I can come on, and we were willing to come on and everything in the last minute, and I just really appreciate my friends who help out like that. And ooh, we're getting a tour of the house.
Yeah, one of my twins, I have 2-year-old twins. One of them is being a little bit whiny, and I was in the room with his TV, so I moved out of the room so that Chaz could put his TV show on.
Well, that
Thank you,
works.
JC.
Gotcha.
Yep, so I had a bunch of friends messaging me like, come on, Michelle, they're waiting on you, so I apologize. I really lost track of time. So,
So
No, no.
from Michelle, did you have an incident at one of the cemeteries where one of the gravestones fell apart on you guys?
not where it fell apart on us, but we found some that were broken.
Because that's what's coming through to me is they're wanting me to ask you about this headstone. It's a particular headstone. Something about breaking or that's just what I'm getting. So tell us about what happened with that.
I know that there was, and it was in Vicksburg, there were the old headstones. And there's a cemetery here locally that was established in the 1700s. And a lot of the headstones, it's sad because they're broken. And it could be the weather that did it. It could just be because they're old. So what we do when we see those, we try to pick them up if possible and place them back correctly. But a lot of those old headstones are made out of some really good stuff, so they're heavy. There's
Right.
no way to just like pick them up.
Right.
Yeah, no joke. Those headstones are like, wow.
Yeah, some of them. I watch a lot of those preservation videos on when they go out and fix the headstones, and I'm fascinated by that. I have quite a few graves on Find a Grave that I take care of, so that was really really crazy. But I don't know why that spirit is still coming through to me. Something about a broken headstone. If any of our viewers know what this is about, send me a message because this is going to haunt me till I figure out exactly what it is. It's something
Yeah, you
about
got me thinking now. Like,
yeah, it's like a broken and something about smoke. So maybe there was like a powder or a dust that came out of it, or maybe like some kind of mist, something odd in the air when the stone cracked or broke, fell up, something like that. It would have scared people when it happened. It was unexpected, like maybe walking by untouched.
right.
It's got to do with someone, and it could be anybody. It could be anybody in there that's coming through to me. So that's just crazy. But if you think about it, if it comes to you later, let one of us know. And
Okay.
yeah, because it's so strong. I mean, it's usually when we've found it, it'll kind of go away, the feeling and the kind of nagging. But I mean, it's burning my eyes. I smell smoke, and it's something about a headstone. So it's just really, I was trying to keep it quiet till the end of the show, but it's just really heavy. So I'm kind of wondering what that's about.
Think. Right.
Which is it like a specific battlefield that you're picking up?
No, I can see the headstone. It's kind of comes up, kind of the scalloped top, really old, really, really rough. Not like a smooth marble, it's like an old, worn.
Right.
But it would have been, it would stick out in your mind. And the smoke, I don't necessarily know if the smoke is actually smoke. When smoke comes through to me, I have to determine, could it be a mist? Could it be a powder? It could be all of these things. It's just crazy. It's even got me like nervous, like my stomach's actually kind of jumpy. That's just weird.
I think the scalped look was more of around the 1800s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, mid 1800s.
Like Civil War possibly era.
And it started happening when y'all were getting into talking about the soldiers and the cemeteries with the soldiers and all of that. So
I'm trying to remember because it's been about 2 years since we've been to Vicksburg. So
yeah, and it's been longer for me since I was in Vicksburg. But
and don't just think about a military cemetery, because the military would have been buried in any of their family plots. But I'm kind of curious to know where this goes. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna have to, because now it's got me curious.
Yeah, one of us, it'll pop up. I hate to say I'm usually right, but if it comes through that strong, usually something comes up. So we'll figure it out. Let's just, woof.
Yeah.
I feel
so Shelly is saying, could it be the one where you could see down in it, Michelle?
Which Michelle?
Okay, so what she's talking about is in Natchez, Mississippi. And it was a grave, and it was old, but not like extremely old. But it was one of the above ground vaults, but it was made out of brick. And the bricks were broken, so you could actually see into the hole and see the casket.
Okay,
that's what she's talking about. And the lady that was buried there, her name was Mary.
That's my first name. That might be it.
Because we investigated and got her name through some EVPs, and we asked, is this Miss Mary? And she had my flashlight go off. She made cat balls go off. So it was pretty intense.
It was like a crypt, or was it like a?
It was just like you would think it was a regular, so it's an older grave. So you know how modern day graves with the bricks have the cement over the top, right?
Yeah.
These were like the circular bricks, almost like if you would cover the coffin with bricks on top of the ground. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
And it was broken along the side, so you could actually look in and see inside of the hole. And the casket naturally was far down there, but
right. Do you remember the headstone?
I remember it saying Mary. I don't remember if it was broken, to be honest. I remember walking by this grave, and it shocked me to see that it was actually, I was like, oh wow, look, this grave is open.
That is odd that it would just be a few bricks to where you could look in, instead of usually if someone's going to vandalize, they're going to just trash it. They're not going to take out a few bricks. That's odd. It's funny that you say Natchitoches, because we have Nacogdoches, and isn't it Natchitoches and Nacogdoches?
They're sisters. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was brothers, where they told them to start walking.
Or brothers. Yeah.
Well, they're sister cities. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it was two brothers, and they told them to walk one day east and one day west, and wherever they landed, like wherever they stopped, to name it after them, and that's what happened.
Yep, that's how you got Natchitoches and Nacogdoches. They were brothers. Yep.
The oldest city in Louisiana and the oldest city in Texas.
Yep.
Yep.
Boy, Nacogdoches is strong. Because my people are from that. Well, we live in Nacogdoches, and we've deep roots in the Nacogdoches on both sides. And everywhere I go, I mean, it's something.
I got the chance to spend a lot of time in Nac whenever I used to be a manager for Buffalo Wild Wings, and the training store was in Nacogdoches. So I got to spend like 4 months in Nacogdoches training. So
yeah. If you go about 3 blocks away from the college, I had my granddad's cousin lived there, and you could walk in the front of her, and her house is one of the real old ones from like the early 19s, and you can actually feel something pulling you toward her yard.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. In all those books, did you ever go to the genealogy section at the college in Nacogdoches?
No, I never got to go in the college.
Got to go. Just take a meter real quiet and stick it in there, because they don't like, they're just real particular. But I know there's activity in there, because when I was doing genealogy, I could feel it coming off the attachments and things off the books. Because people don't.
That reminds me of when we were in Arkansas at the Arlington Hotel.
Yeah.
But we actually went to a tour in the Gangster Museum, and Chaz and our friend Justin did like a unofficial investigation. They had like the K2 meter and stuff, and they had the spirit box.
Now, can you take those equipment and put them to headphones to where they think you're just listening to music or something?
That's what they did. They had their earbuds in, and they had it. They were listening, asking questions, and then yep.
Very cool.
I've never thought about doing that, but I don't like the white noise on the SB7s.
Yeah, I can't handle it. It stresses me out. I usually go in with my friend Michael and I. We go in with before everybody goes in, before the equipment, all of that. I find that with me getting readings on stuff, I do way better with the less electronics as possible. I don't get a lot of the interference. I like the TVs unplugged. I like as much off as possible. And the phones, I want phones out of the house if possible.
We started just using an old school voice recorder. It works just as good.
Oh man, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Michelle, what do you guys use on investigations?
So we have an SB11 because it's the tool that SB11, SB7, ghost hunters have them. We have app wise, I like Necrophonic because it reminds me of the SB7, and we've actually gotten pretty direct answers with it. And we have a voice recorder. We have a Maglite flashlight. We have cat balls. We had a tripwire. It broke. A REM pod, a music box. Typical stuff.
Oh wow.
That's cool. You mentioned Maglite. So I take it you like to do the flashlight experiments? I
do, and a lot of our viewers, like on TikTok, they love it because what I do is I let the chat ask. So when I'm live and we're doing that, the chat will put in questions that they want me to ask, and I'll ask. And they like to see if, they get some reaction with the flashlight.
Yeah. I was doing that when I was in a jail that's now a museum. And we were running 3 of them and getting these great activity. And I had a lot of people start telling me, oh, that's not paranormal. That's because of this or that. And I was like,
I've heard that before.
None of us were near those.
Tired of it.
But yeah, exactly. To make it go off by vibration, you would have to actually be walking next to it or be close to it. It's not going to go off if you're across the room from it from vibration. That's just like cat balls. If the cat ball, something vibrates too close to it, it's going to go off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you're always gonna have skeptics, and they're always gonna think they know everything, and we don't know everything. No. We're learning new stuff every day. That's the point. In studying the paranormal, right? Hey, Scott.
So yeah, and to me, it's funny when people start talking like they're experts, and it's like there are no experts, nobody really knows. So I find it funny when we start posting what we think is evidence, and everyone starts to try and nitpick it, and I'm like, where is the support? Where is everybody that's saying,
I'm glad you said
hey,
that. It goes back to a video so we investigated a murder house in Jonesboro, Louisiana, where a woman killed her husband in cold blood. She got sentenced to an insane asylum. She died there. House has been abandoned since the murder in 2012. We actually didn't notice this until we got home and was going over evidence. Chaz caught it on his phone. There's a light anomaly in the top window. I don't remember, Michael, if I sent you that video.
I think you did actually, and that was super
And I've
cool.
had people try to debunk it. So the windows have no glass. So reflection is ruled out. And if you've seen the video, it's just, you'd have to watch the video. I have to send it to you, Michelle. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's, I've had people with a lot of experience look at it and they can't debunk it.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing I think that's kind of missing that I'm liking to see that's researching some is that like you send me videos and say, hey, what's your opinion of this? I send videos to investigators and I'm like, hey, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And it's
We
like
should
it's
be able
great
to
that
do
we
that, right? We should
collaborate.
be able to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
network with each other and be like, hey,
yeah,
look, I need your opinion on this. Like
exactly.
Feathers just said, she commented, um, yeah, she's seen that video because it actually got like 23,000 views on TikTok whenever we
Wow.
posted it. But, there were skeptics. Oh, it's a homeless person. Oh, it's this, it's that. And so, being in this field, you have to deal with skeptics. You know
yeah,
that.
And that's what's good about bringing a sensitive like me and stuff around with you too, because we can tell the difference between living and dead. You can put somebody on the other side of the wall, and I can feel if they're there. They've got a vibration. I'm not going to get a vibration off the spirit. So, if you've got someone there, they can tell you there's nobody up there when you see a
right.
light. So that helps when you've got somebody that's like I am,
And
and
Feathers, who was just in the comments, that's what she does.
yeah,
And on our team, Piper, she does.
yeah.
She does that. Like she can sense things, and
Well,
like I
that's
said,
what
I don't
bring me.
claim to be a psychic medium or anything. I know that I'm starting to open up more to things, but I think, like I said, I think that just comes with the territory, with exposing myself to it so much.
Yeah. Twisted Paranatural is saying to you, Michelle, I remember that video, Michelle. I tried so hard to debunk and figure it out.
Like
So,
everybody, I sent it to so many people,
yeah.
and they were like, "I ain't got nothing." They were like, "Good catch."
And I agree with Steven with the replicate, replicate, replicate. So, when I did my first investigation at this museum, that's the jail in Granbury, actually, and we had this rocking chair start to move and it had a doll in it. And I was like, dude, and I was with two of the volunteers there and I was like, did you bump it? No. Did I bump it? And they're like, I don't think you did. And so I stood there and tried to like bump it to see if I could get it to start moving that way. And the thing that got me was, and I'm wishing I had filmed this, but I didn't. I look at it rocking and I said, hey, look, the chair is rocking. And it stopped from a strong rocking motion, just pure stop. I
Wow.
could get it to start, but I could never get it to stop on command. And I reached out to Ben Hansen from the show Paranormal Fact or Faked. And I was like, hey, I wanted to let you know I tried doing this and, I couldn't replicate. What do you think is going on? And he wrote back the nicest message I think could ever be given to anyone. He goes, the fact that you tried to debunk your evidence shows you're a true paranormal investigator.
Always.
Yeah, you have to.
I agree. You have to. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't, you cannot place the name paranormal on everything that happens. And a lot of people don't understand. If you go investigate somewhere and there's always something happening, it's
Yeah,
probably fake.
something's wrong.
Because investigating is like fishing. It's not going to be exciting all of the time.
right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Feather says that's what makes good investigators, though. Debunk and debunk again and again.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, because there are so many times, like, you could be walking by, like you're saying with the camp balls, and it's like you don't realize what kind of floor you're on
Right.
and trigger it. And it's like, I know from experience with my old job of doing home investigations or warehouses, concrete slabs react differently than post tension slabs, than pier and beams. And so if you're on a pier and beam, some floors are spongier than others, so you can step where you're not even close to the cat ball and set it off.
Exactly.
And so you got to really watch what conditions you're in. Because I don't think a lot of people think about that, because they're like, they think, oh, the ball's on the other side of the room, so I can move around and do whatever. Not necessarily.
Well,
Yep,
everything.
you always have to try to debunk, and that's how you can tell, like, when you have legit evidence, or, you know,
Yeah, and one of the things it's driving a lot of people nuts. And I went on an investigation, and I was at Fort Walters, touring some people through, and they're animatronics because it is a haunted house in the month of October. Well, all the
right.
animatronics are unplugged, turned off, and there's this pressure pad on the floor. We walked over it so many times, nothing happens. Then you hit it this one specific way, and it's like sometimes this one spider will go off, sometimes it won't, and it's kind of fun to do, but at the same time, it's like interesting trying to debunk that, because you're like, okay, I'm stepping on it just like I did before. Nothing's happening now. Why did it happen before?
Right.
And I don't know about y'all, but I've noticed the best evidence we get is never on camera. Like, it's
Never.
like the
Oh
spirit
yeah,
knows
Yep.
that I'm recording, so it doesn't want to do anything. And then as soon as the camera's off, bam.
Yeah. Or they drain your batteries and then they do dances around you.
Right.
yeah. That, or my other ones, I'll say that's the most fun, was when I was started with Facebook Lives, because it's like you're going through and you're like talking, doing your thing, and then you're quietly scanning, and all of a sudden everybody that's on the other side of the camera is like dinging your messenger, and you're like, what is going on? And they're all like, don't you hear that voice? And you're like, what voice?
Yeah.
And it's like you leave the room and they're like, dude, you like let the spirit in there. It's like, what are you talking about? They're like, you need to listen to your live. And I was like, so I did that, and I found out something had tapped me on my shoulder 3 times. A
Wow.
girl called out, leave me alone.
That's
And
why I
I'm like,
like live, because the chat can interact and the chat can see and hear things that you miss.
yeah. But yeah, and there was one location that recently closed in Oklahoma, Broken Bow Asylum, that was notorious for having body cameras and all these cameras up. And then you take it down, and one of the claims were ping pong balls flying around. And sure enough, you would turn the corner, all the cameras facing one way, and ping pong balls would start hitting the walls behind you. And you're like, where did that come from? Why is it when it's not on camera?
Right. I want to get to Oklahoma eventually.
Oh man, I was like, I saw the door open behind you. I was like, oh. But
That's Chad. That's our team member.
oh, okay.
Cool.
So Scott says, wow, Scott wrote a
Wow.
paragraph. We always use the debunking method on our YouTube channel for the same reason we don't use it to debunk the paranormal, but to prove it, you're right. You've got to be careful in case it's something logical. We 100% believe in the paranormal, but you got to prove it's paranormal that you are experiencing at the time. I'm loving the live, guys. Ghost Trackers UK. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself, Scott.
I heard mixed things about Waverly. I heard it was good at sometimes. I heard not to waste the money because they kind of expensive, and now they charge you extra to stream from Waverly.
Right. I've heard
I
that
want to get to
too.
the Stanley Hotel in Colorado though because I'm a huge Stephen
Yeah.
King fan, and it's on my bucket list.
I've tried to go there 3 times, and every time I go there, I end up sick. Like the day before I leave, I end up sick, and that just tells me I'm not supposed to be going there.
We should get together and go together. I want to make that trip.
That'll be fun.
I can already call the
Weekend
title.
Thursday.
Michelle and Michelle, investigators.
M&M.
Can't go wrong with 2 Michelles. It'll be a good time.
I'm
No.
sure nothing could go wrong with that.
Actually, what's funny is, so, yeah, you guys are both Michelle, but in France, if we were in France, because my name's Michael, they actually pronounce it Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually 3 on the show right now.
Yup.
But so we're actually at an hour and 36 minutes.
We always go over.
Yeah, and so
I apologize again for being 25 minutes late. I feel bad about that.
oh, no worries. I mean, like I said, life happens. We just did some talking about Michelle's upcoming show that she's working on and stuff
Oh,
that
that's
I'm
going to be
working on.
exciting.
Trying frets and frights, musicians and venues and things that have had paranormal experiences. That's why I'd love to get into that venue. We should do that for frets and frights. We should go do that venue in Shreveport.
We should.
We should do
I
that.
have the lady's contact information and everything. You just send me a date when you want to come. And if we don't have anything planned, we'll set it up.
So just know I'll probably run out of the building about 12 times. You just have to coach me
No,
back
you'll be fine.
with like cookies or something. You're like, come on back in here. So we go
Like,
to the
come
river.
on, it's okay, don't run.
If you're a good girl, you can go shopping afterwards. We'll go to the Riverwalk and get some drinks. Just get back in here and finish.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Stephen, I definitely want to hit up Waverly eventually. It's on my bucket list. I just, they say it's overpriced, and now they charge you extra to stream.
Right. I think there's a couple other places in Texas that are now charging to stream too.
I don't know
believe
how I
it.
feel about all that. I mean, it ain't costing them nothing for all of us to stream. So I don't know about that.
Yeah. So, Linda, that's a Steven question because I don't think any of us have been to Waverly yet. So
No, not yet.
I'll let you talk to Steven offline about that. And there you go. He told you the 5th floor.
5th floor.
I heard that. I heard the 5th floor and the basement, I think.
Man, basements.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's in the earth.
I think so.
The basement is a coffin. I don't
So
like.
I plan on going to Pennsylvania next year and hitting up Pennhurst. I'm just saying, if anybody's interested.
And earlier, somebody, I think I remember who it was, said something about crud. I don't even remember what I was going to say. The dang Kraken's got me all sidetracked over here.
So Twisted Paranatural is asking, which location has made the most impact on your life? Oh, of all 3 of us, negative and or positive wise.
Oh, wow. Negative would be here in Granbury for me. There's a house here with a voodoo woman in it. That house came from Louisiana. Yeah.
Not surprised by that statement.
Yeah, we get there and there are beaks everywhere. Girl, beaks everywhere. All over.
Wow.
And I get out, I said, what the hell? What is that? And I said, oh no, the leader of my old group took me there. she wouldn't let us in the gate. She had them two boys stand there and wouldn't let us in. There was oh man, that's a whole show on its own self. I didn't go in that place. You couldn't have cut my head off and made me go in there.
Oh, well, good. When you come to New Orleans, I'll take you to Marie Laveau's house.
I'm supposed to go to Louisiana. I'm supposed to go to New Orleans. There's someone there that's going to tell me something, but I don't know who it is yet. But I know they're waiting on me. I'm just too scared to go.
Don't be scared. It's okay.
Okay.
Chaz, Louisiana
It really
haunted,
is.
period. Yeah.
He's from Tyler, but he's been living in Louisiana for years. And
Well, all right. I'll grab me the rose and then we'll go on.
I'm still trying to think about the most impact on me.
me too.
I
I
don't-
don't.
What's the positive? You can think of a positive one, maybe.
That's like each of them are so unique. It's like hard to say which one had the most impact. They've all had impact. I'd have to say Nazareth Hospital, Beach Army Hospital, and Fort Walters for me. I will say though, Chaz, I am kind of with you on this one. So, being at Goatman's,
Oh, Goatman's Bridge. I don't like that place.
No, Chaz was attacked when we went to Goatman's Bridge.
Yeah.
So I had the experience there as well of somebody fired off a pistol at midnight or around midnight. And all of a sudden, I was with two teammates, one on the right, one on the left, and I was standing, in the middle back from them. And we're facing the gate to go in. And all of a sudden, as the gun was fired, you see this black shadow figure just run right at me, pretty much through me. I kind of felt knocked back a little bit. They felt him run by. And it was like, man, I can't believe I got shadow rushed.
Wow.
See, and
So
I didn't
have y'all been to Hotel Galvez since y'all are from Texas?
I have not yet.
I haven't done much investigating because I just mainly walk around and tell unexpected people that their loved
We
ones.
might have to make a trip to Galveston together too. I was supposed to go
Yeah.
recently, but we ended up not going to Galveston. We ended up going to Hotel Icon in Houston.
Yeah, I've heard of that place. I've heard.
Yeah, I tend to stay out of Houston for the
Yeah.
very reason you're talking about.
Yeah,
The highways there are
Horrible.
so bad.
horrible.
Yeah.
But then Houston people hate Dallas, but Dallas people
Right.
hate Houston. So it's like
Yeah.
that Goatman Bridge. I didn't get anything that everybody else has gotten. I had a kid grab my hand, a little bitty hand, grab my hand at Goatman's because I went during the day. I was just like, I'm gonna go see what's going on with this. It was after the Granbury Spooktacular or whatever 4 years ago or so, and I went. And I
Right.
was walking around, and I kept feeling. Kids will pull my hair. I don't know if the other sensitives in your group get that, but when it's a child, they want to touch my hair all the time. I can always tell it's a kid because they want to touch my hair. But I felt the wind go by my hair, but then all of a sudden I just kind of had my hand hanging there, and I could feel the pressure on my palm. That sweet little, there's only one feeling like that on earth. To have a child touch your hand or an old person touch your hand, there's only, that's distinctive. And so I didn't get all the ghosty, spooky stuff. I just got a child, but it's just a creepy place. The whole thing is just a bad feeling.
Yeah. Twisted Paranatural has a good question for us. Do you three chat room's getting active. Do you three do private investigation or public investigations or both?
Mine are private primarily. I'm called into people's houses to do stuff on a one-on-one.
Good night, Feathers. I've done residential. We won't go live for residential except for at my house because I have a couple spirits in my house who have more than likely followed us back from other locations. But we'll do residential. If someone calls and thinks their house is haunted, they call us out. We go to their house and basically just diagnose it. We let them know if there is activity or if there, it can be explained or whatever. Like if your light's flickering in your kitchen, it could just be electrical, you know. So you don't
Yes,
want
we do. That's easy to
Right.
to. But we
So
do mostly public haunts. We do a lot of. I try here in Louisiana. I try to get more of the unknown places. Like there's the cemetery here in Pineville called Serenity Fields, and what it is a pauper cemetery, but it's for forgotten people whose bodies were never claimed, and literally their markers are street signs because the Louisiana Highway Department is who buries them.
Right.
So literally they have a street sign. Some of them say unknown, some of them have a day of birth and no day of death, and vice versa. Like it's really sad. It's really heavy. I'm gonna have to get with you one day and bring you with me
Yeah.
because especially with you being sensitive and stuff, you'll pick
Oh,
up
yeah.
just through the live. You'll be able to see the heaviness.
Now I gotta know, okay, without throwing anybody under the bus, but I heard y'all got an alligator farm in Alexandria, and there used to be some naughtiness going on way back before that got, where you could pay money to come in, and it's.
I know there's an alligator farm in Natchitoches. I've never seen one in
Maybe.
Alexandria.
Well, it's gotta be in there. I heard Alexandria, but it could have been anywhere around there. People get confused in the.
Well, Natchitoches is only like 40 minutes north, so they.
Yeah. But I heard that before they actually started, the new people came over and all this stuff. That's where all the cops and everything used to take all the bodies that needed to be going away, and they just feed them out there in the.
I heard that too, so I don't know how true that is, but.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I know we put all ours in the Sabine, so. I mean,
right.
I don't need that. It ain't happening.
Yeah,
I want
so
farm raised.
Twisted Paranatural, the answer for me, I do both. I've done private for people who ask me and do public investigation and events. And thank you for joining us, Feathers. And Steven has brought up the Marphalites. That is one that I would love to check out. That is southwest of where I am, near some pretty hill country area. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to say, with it being almost an hour and 50 minutes, that I wanted to say I appreciate, Michelle, you coming on last minute. I truly appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime y'all want me on or anything, I'll be more than happy to jump on with y'all. And I know I'm friends with you for sure. I'm not sure if I'm friends with Michelle.
I'll send you a friend request later.
Okay.
I think mine's pretty locked down, but we'll get together. I love stomping around. I almost bought a house in Halton, so.
Okay.
But you can hear my accent. I'm getting tired. I can't hide the accent much longer. It's gonna start oozing out like jelly.
Start sounding like cornbread here in a minute. That's my joke. I tell everybody. I don't realize how Southern I sound until I get on camera, and then I sound like straight cornbread.
My answering machine's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I can do pretty good for a while till I get tired or mad, and then it's out.
Yeah. Thank you to the chat group, and I am going to say good night to everyone.
Good night. Thank you for having me. It was great. It was fun.
We'll be in contact. We'll have some fun.
I'll send us out with the outro, and then we will see what's up.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds good.
You have just listened to the energy that surrounds us with your host, Michael Koff. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode.